your side of the track, and I'll take mine. See which one of us can walk longer in a straight line and leave the world behind, or leave our silly worldly worries behind. Follow these old train tracks to us in another time. Silly worldly worries behind. Follow these old train tracks to us in another time. You'll understand why when we get there.
We'll let it finish. We'll let it finish. The timing of music is something. We'll see how the audio turns out. I really made a run at this today, and here I am. How's everybody doing? I don't even know what day it is. Thursday? What a day. I've got a lot to talk about. We'll see who shows up. Appreciate you being here. We got a little bit to talk about. It's going to be a quick hour, I think. Brian Paul, I see you down there. See everybody down there. And I will get to everybody in a second and welcome you guys in. Let me get myself settled. Tech was fun today. Guys, let me know about my audio, please. My voice, especially. The background music's too loud. Let me know about that, too. I'm going to let that run for a little bit. Get a vibe. It's Thursday. It's been a busy week. It's been an interesting week. So let's get at it. First, let's say hi to everybody that's here, because I do appreciate anybody that's popping in here to say hi to me in my big second brain week. Where are we at here with Be Social? I'll find you guys. Don't you worry about it. Hey, Patrick. Audio sounds great, Patrick. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm working on that. I see, of course, Cashew is dropping a lot of the cashews. I love it. I'm going to snapshot all those cashew and save those as my puns. Those are great. Love it. You spent a lot of time on that. You had no preparation, so you didn't know. That was the first time I've ever used a drum pitcher on my thumbnail. And so it just felt right. Felt good time to do it. So I did it. Hey, Sammy. Been a while. It's good to see you. I got to get caught up with you, man. It's been a while since I've seen you around. Then there's this person here. There's a great supporter. Appreciate you, Amy. I know you're tired. Appreciate you hanging out. Patrick, appreciate that. Brian, audio's good. BC Paul, it's been wonderful to see you, man. Sonny, gonna give us a hi. I'm gonna say hello, let everybody come in here. Oh, hey, Looks like Rodrigo. Hey, Jay and John. Hey, what's happening? I love it, man. We're just doing stuff. We'll talk about that in a second. If you come in and sit down, everybody, for a second. We got some things to talk about. There's some changes. There's some differences going on here. You're noticing it, maybe. You maybe or maybe not. We'll talk about that. Let me just start by saying, and I will try to stay on chat as I go, but I might pile up you guys a little bit here and there, depending on how much chatter is going on. And look, just come in, sit down, have a good time, enjoy yourselves. This is a no-fuss stream. Just happy you guys are here. There's nothing going on, nothing to see here. So I finished, I maybe have told you, I finished a course, a 5-week course called Building a Second Brain. And although that sounds just kind of like out there and kind of weirdly and cultish almost, if you don't know what it is, I'll get into it a little bit, but it was interesting to finish that this week. And then I was kind of feeling transformative about going through that as a creator. So I was already thinking about a thumbnail. So thus you got that, how it impacted me as a creator. And I want to talk about that a little bit. It's going to really dictate how my channel moves forward. I would like some feedback from anybody who wants to hang around here for the next hour. I really do. I just want to say I really do enjoy feedback. I think that one way that we shape our perspectives about ourselves and our deals and our opinions, especially as creators, is to hear other perspectives. I really believe in that. I welcome that. And I think that's we all should do that. And I think that's the cool thing about the community. And so I appreciate that. While we're waiting, while you're in chat, for anybody in chat, just drop down, first thing that comes to your mind, drop down the gadget that you collect. Like, what is it you collect information, whether it's recipes, shows you want to watch, or clips of, do you use bookmarks? Do you use a clipping software, Evernote? Do you just put stuff into Google? Do you just shove everything? How do you collect? I am curious, like, where do you store things that you capture information? Let's say it could be, like I said, a recipe. It could be that you're going on a trip to Disney, so you're doing research. I am curious where you capture and put that information. I'll explain why in a minute. So yeah, I got done with this Build a Second Brain on Tuesday, and I thought this is great and transformative and so many things in my direction I want to go. But yeah, I got a message from John on Tuesday that he is no longer going to join us in the streams, and that he's going to focus on his channel. He might live stream here, I would assume, of course, on his own, and use that energy. He has a finite amount of time, as we all do. We're all overrun, right? We're all overstressed with time. And I know he's trying to get his channel, in a groove since he got monetized. And so he really wants to, I 100% support that, of course. I've always supported John doing what he needs to do. And so he reached out and informed me on that on Tuesday. So it was kind of an interesting intersection of, like, here we are. We got this, the universe is telling you something, right? So that works out. I'm in the same boat, to be honest with you. I think that, I loved every second streaming with John, and we will stream again in the future. At times we'll meet up and do sort of special streams, a sort of a state of the streams, and kind of meet up, have some fun, see how the channels are doing. See how we're doing. We're friends. We're going to stay in touch. We're going to do our thing. But, let's just be honest. The collaborations are difficult. It's not even a personality thing. It's difficult for John. He's really, really into tech, like really into tech. We know that. That's his focus. Man, if you're going to want tech, slide over his channel. I do love tech, but I don't love tech the way John loves tech. I'm more of like, here's tech I'm using along my journey, and I'll share that with you. And I know a lot about tech, but it's just not like this passion that I have. For me, human tech and how humans use technology and how we're affected by it as creators and as people, that interests me. So there was always this little struggle, because where we overlapped was tech, really. John appreciates, I think, some of the higher level stuff, but that's not his forte. And so we met in the middle on tech, but I think there's only so much we can do because, he's over here with his tech, I'm down here, and then I'm over here with where I'm at on my channel. And by doing that, it wasn't his fault, but I don't think I was able to really express who I was. I think a lot of people saw me as John's sidekick and probably vice versa, and that's fine. I have no issues with that. But it was time. And so John reached out, we talked, we're good. So this is kind of a perfect week for this. Like I said, I've come out feeling refreshed. I have some interesting new discussions today with a really good friend and somebody I'm going to do some long-term projects with. I won't announce here, but I'm really excited with some new projects that are coming up. So, hey, man, got a lot going on. Let me check chat and then so it's interesting. Patrick says, I used to use Google Keep, slowly transferring things to Notion. I figured you were transferring a lot into Notion. As you know, I love Notion. I did my little certification in Notion. I think I'll do the consultant thing. I would imagine you're going to be doing that too at some point, Patrick, and go down to I'd love to get their Notion consultant badge and move into their directory. I think that would be good to do over the summer. I find there's some things with Notion that are a little bit limiting. I'm sure you do too. And I went into it. I'm going to be in the weeds tonight. I'm going to be honest with you. I have no show notes. There's no bullet points. I am going to segue in ways that are going to be odd, and that's okay. And you guys are just going to come with me on the ride and maybe keep me out of the weeds, but too much. But I'm going to segue and go all over the map tonight because that's just how I feel. And quite honestly, that's my brain. And I want to have a dialogue and a conversation with you all, and I want you to have it back with me. And, let's do that. Let me check things here before I get too far out in the weeds. So Google Keep transferring to Notion. Yeah, I'm still using Google Keep for some quick captures. I'd like to find something a little bit better than that. Drum lessons. Well, that's interesting you bring that up. Actually, I am setting up. So speaking of tech, I got a second lens for my older camera. Let me see if I can put that up there real quick. I didn't really get a chance because it just came. I didn't get a chance to flesh out the, there we go. Hey guys, second camera shot right there. I'm going to get fuzzed out because I didn't center it really well. And it's not really what I want. So 30 millimeter Sigma. And if you can see, I got a drum out over here because I'm starting to plant drums out in the studio to test which ones I want to use. So I'm not going to be giving lessons so much, but it's funny you say that. I'm going to actually, I talked to my drum coach out in LA and we got some projects we're doing, and I'm going to go back into taking lessons from him. So I took a couple years off because I needed a break. We all need a break. We need to step away, right? And feel like it's time. I've been working on things, but I feel like it's time to get back at that. So that's another direction I'm going to go, and I'm excited about. Yeah. Jay drums the heck out of tech. There's another one. I like these. I'm going to have to stick with these. These are going to be in my next couple, thumbnails. I'll have to do that. So let's see if we can find our way back. Oh, yeah, I saw Trello. Jay, since you clearly have a lot to say about the topic, what's your take on Trello? I use it, but some say it has been allowing for data leaks at some point. It seems like at any point in time, these apps are problematic for data leaks. So it just depends. Some people are forced into it because of a business or certain collaborations, and they put things on there. But I mean, with any of these things, whether it's Rome Research, which runs database up in the cloud, or Google, or any of these things, you're going to run into certain data leaks potentially. Let me just back up and say, as far as Trello goes, I love Trello. I've used Trello for a long time with the collaboration to build projects. Still use it with a couple people, but I am pulling out of it since I got into Notion, and I'm going to move into Rome Research or Obsidian as a note-taking. I'm going to talk about all that. That's a really good point. The data leaks are an issue. I would just say don't put up anything you don't want leaked. That is not always easy, especially if you're talking about proprietary stuff. I know people have run into that with a few apps recently. it's problematic unless you're running, for example, like Obsidian for off of the, like Notion's another one. If you're running Obsidian, you're doing anything that's done on the local, that could be a problem. So yeah, I don't know. So it's one of those deals. Yeah. Uncle Stu, how you doing? You need a second brain? I heard though, Uncle Stu, your first brain was so powerful that it ate your second brain. That's just what the word on the street was. So I don't know. Maybe your first brain is just fine. That's a real deal. Hey, Harvey Black, I appreciate you, friend, stepping in, saying hi to everybody. I love that. It's a big old hello to everybody. Are you still journaling as well? So yeah, in fact, here's my bullet journal right here. I start a lot with handwriting because I really love the fact I can go on the deck or into a den and get off of, I think you can do your best creativity hand to paper. And then I do move it. And so to answer your question, I usually don't take that, Patrick, and I move into Roam research and do my daily notes right now through that. And I don't know if you're using Roam or Obsidian or Logsec or any of those. What's the other one? Remnote. And by the way, those are great too, because Logsec and Remnote are off the grid essentially. They're also localized, so there are some options. But collaboratively, you run into problems. So as Rodrigo was saying, you know, if you're having to collaborate at all and you're using these softwares, you can't run them just locally. So, you know, man. Yeah. So I appreciate it. Hey, Boston Don. So I just want to say, Don released his first video officially today. He did an interview, which I thought was so well done. And we talked about this last week, but I have to say, Don, kudos on the thumbnail, man. It was very inspiring. It was very well done. It got my interest. You put some time into it. It's clear, man. And you're just on your way. I love it. Good on you. I hope the Bruins win. I'm sorry that the Bucks took your Celtics out last night, but I still think the Celtics have a good shot at winning that series. I don't even know if you care about the Celtics, but I know you're a Brewers fan. Yeah, no problem. You can have me on the background. That's cool, man. Don't you even stress. So, I mean, we've got some fun stuff because we've got, you know, people like Uncle Stu's brain eating his second brain. That's all right, man. We're gonna be fine. The second brain throws people when I bring that up because I think that is a very new concept that's being talked about. It's something that was invented by Tiago Forte a few years ago and is catching a lot of steam. I have to ask for the people that are in here, just to let me know, yes, no, or however you want to answer the question. Do you feel at times you're just absolutely overwhelmed by information? Do you have information exhaustion at any point at the, you know, whether you're researching or just having to look into buying Disney tickets for your family? I mean, I'm just curious what your thoughts are. Let me know about that. Okay, well, it's fine. You're not a huge Celtic fan, so you're fine. You're going to be fine. You've had enough Super Bowls. Well, it didn't take long for Brian. Yes is the answer for Brian. Yeah. Information overload. So I went into the Build a Second Brain with I had asked around, and I had done my research on Tiago, and I'm a little bit wary of these programs. But I had done a lot of research on my own. It's a thing you have to pay for. I paid for it, which is another reason I was wary about it. No, I've been honest. I did a free one last year with Live Streaming Pros, and I got a lot out of it. Mostly I got out of it with connections that are near and dear to me from John and Brian and Lala and Don. I have some issues with LSP. I've mentioned it in the past, and it's nothing personal. I just feel like, I'm just gonna be honest with you, I really get a little bit tweaked when I hear people's just hit live button as the mantra. I just think that leaves so much on the floor when it comes to what we have to deal with, either as creators, as people. I think that's just such a terrible answer. Just do it. I don't like the just do it thing. It gets old. It's just like an answer with no solution. So that was free. I got out of it a lot of things for free. I think I got a lot out of it, but I paid a little money for this and I got a million times out of that course, I will say. And what I'm going to do is my channel is going to be directed down this. So again, bear with me. I'm going in different weeds and different directions. There's no blueprint tonight. And I see some answers here that are awesome. Appreciate it. I'm going to get to those too. If you've come into this channel thinking, hey, let's just talk about mic comparisons, you're in the wrong place. I'm going to be more about human accessibility. I'm going to be more about the human experience as a creator and as non-creators even. I will talk about tech along my journey. I will talk about how tech can be a friend and a foe as creators, and information can be a problem in today's new age. What does that mean? Well, the reason I asked that question, yeah, Nike made a lot of money on it. I know they did. And a lot of people thought they got the shoes and they didn't go out and do anything because they didn't solve the real problem. But they paid $200 for the shoes and Nike made good money. So Uncle Stu says, yes, yes, and yes. I have more information overload than I did in full-time in college. And that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Stu. I'm going to touch on that in a minute. That's an excellent point. Rodrigo says, I'm always overwhelmed by both information and I consume those I want to share. Yep. Great point. I'm glad you brought it up. You guys are hitting it. Yeah. Thank you. So if it's something you love to talk about, it wouldn't be a problem. And I do love talking about it. Yeah, so I want to go back here. What did you say here? Yeah, we're good here. Abundance. So one of the things I've been dealing with when I started getting into YouTube, which was only about a year ago, by the way, I'm very new to this. And people and LSP, another thing that irritated me was the whole, if you don't have it niche down, you're going to be in problems with YouTube. I hate that advice. It's terrible advice. It's fine if you know your niche, go for it, niche down. But there's so much lost in translation with that. And as I stood around and thought about it, it made me start to doubt myself, which is not what you want coming out of a program or as a creator. But as I'm learning, people, we are our own niche. Our lives are our own niche. We are all creators, all of us, whether you're on YouTube or not. Howdy, MD. You were like, what's going on here? This is a whole different look. Yeah. Got something different going on here. I'll explain. I'll circle back for the new people. I didn't like that advice. We are our own niche. And that's where I'm going with my channel. John already knew where he was going. He had it niched down to tech, which is great. He had years and years to flush that out, plus a lifetime. That's what he did. It was hard for me to break down my life into a niche. And I was talking to someone recently. I was tired of feeling like second guessing myself as far as creativity goes. We all have creativity. We all have something unique in our lives. But yet I was always convinced I'm just freckle guy with red hair, nothing interesting. But I look back and I have to say, and I say that without flex at all, I have interesting things to say, right? I have the mic. I played music my whole life. That's the thing, right? So music, I'm the music guy. But I mean, high school, I did music, symphony. I toured Europe, played for the president. That was my life. There's something interesting, it's creative. Got music scholarships, lost it, went to business school, got marketing degrees and econ degrees. That's great. Got out. What did I do? I started a llama farm. 12 years of llama farming. What did I do next? Started a flower shop. What did I do after that? I spent 25 years on the road playing music. And some things in between like web design and tech companies. Nothing has been natural in my life. Like, what am I doing? Why did I make these decisions? Why did I take these paths? Is it just ADHD? No. I've always had wonderment and curiosity. And that's why I went with my intuition when I started the channel. I'm just curious about things, man. And I'm curious about how I will discover them and learn them, maybe perfect them, and maybe I'll get tired and move on. That's okay. We can all learn something and move on. We don't have to be held hard to something that we learn. We're all creative. We take our own time. But for someone to tell you as a live streaming pro, you're not niche down enough, put doubts in your head. Don't let people give you that power. There is a thing called the confidence fallacy, and I've fallen into this too, the confidence fallacy. And the idea that just because someone says it with confidence, it must be true, it must be valuable, and it must be relevant to you. Bull. We have to get out of that. It's too easy to trick people into that. Don't consume content as a prescription, right? question everything and make sure that it resonates with you. That's what we have to do. It's okay to gather with abundance as you all were telling me you were doing, but have an opinion. When we read a book, it happens to me. I read the book and I hear the author's voice and I think, well, that's the author's opinion. I don't often sit back and go, that's great, but now what are my thoughts? I don't sit and reflect on the book. Well, we're going to start doing that. Okay. We have to find, and I see as some people say that, find our voice. I appreciate that. I want to step back before I move on and just kind of, yeah, I'm getting deep, but I'll be honest with you, MD, that's the way this channel is rolling. John will not be joining us anymore in our streams, and it's not a drama or anything. John just notified this week that he has to spend more time on building his channel, which I think is at a point to really grow and take off, and I support that 1,000%. And if anybody has hardcore tech problems or this type of stuff isn't for them, it's cool, man. You know where John is. Go find him. He'll bring you right in. I want to back up because there were some really cool comments down here that really resonated with me. But how you doing, MD? Rodrigo, we'll jump around. I don't care. I'm niche down, and yet what I share is extremely broad. I get your point. Niches are a branched as trees. That's right. And if you niche down, I understand. There's a risk when you build something from the start, especially that's really niched down. I only do anime that makes people cry. That's all I talk about on my stream. If you start doing like, I don't know, videos of Angora rabbit raising, you might have some issues with your subs, I suppose. That's quite dramatically different. But I think if you're organically branching out, and especially doing it and tying those threads together for your community, I have a feeling they're going to go on. It's been shown to be true. You're going to be okay. You're not going to sit there and lose everybody constantly. Oh, thank you, Brian. That's really sweet. I feel like I paid you some money. We obviously know my niche, Patrick, but even in tech, some people say that I should niche down even more. I just don't want to talk about Apple or phone cases all day. And therein lies the rub, right? And my whole thing on that is, good on you, man. I love that you're standing your ground on that, because a lot of people wouldn't. They would follow the numbers or the advice. Here's the thing about it, Patrick. It is true. Maybe if you niche down to just Apple cases, Apple phone, iPhones, maybe you would broaden out in some weird way, but you'd be miserable. And I really think that your community would be weaker. I think the advantage of someone like Patrick, for example, and a lot of you people who are doing streams like Don and Stu, is your personalities. Over time, people are going to get to know you and care more about you as a personality, which I haven't been able to do and reach out to do through my recordings, which is another reason why this whole thing, John and I kind of doing our thing now, opens up a lot of opportunities for me to trench in and get going. And so I feel that, but I feel also, Patrick, you made the right decision. I love that you're doing that. Thank you, Rico. Oh my God. See, I will, unlike John, I will cry. And I don't apologize for it. That's fine with me. Boston Don, I'm trying to find my place in the world. Man, boy, that hit home. I bet you everybody in here on some level, you don't have to be just a creator, right? For that to hit you home. I think it's really tough these days to find my place in the world, Don. Now you're doing great. And even me telling you you're doing great and you feeling good about that moment and seeing that video out there, right? There's still doubts. The next video, can I live up to it? Was the first one worthy? It was. Stand your ground. Why not? Why not you, Don? Why not Stu and Rodrigo and Cashew and MD? Screw that. You are definitely finding your place, and you really did a great job. If you have a chance, head over to his channel, take a look through that, give it a like, everybody. It's his first video interview. You can't deny that it's really, really solid. Stu, I'm struggling to find my own voice because I want to talk his politics, mostly politics, but my audience I have now will not love it. So I need help with this. Well, okay, that's a great point. Let's talk about that for a second, Stu. You have a choice here. You say, you know what, I'm going to integrate this topic because I can't disassociate myself with this topic with what I'm doing here currently. And maybe that seems weird to people when you say, for example, let's just take for example, I want to mix, or I'm going to be okay mixing politics in with tech. That's okay. You could talk about a lot of things. Politics has a big effect on tech, the cost of tech, inflation of tech, the lack of accessibility or the short stocking of tech, the stocks of tech, international policy that affects tech, right? Local government, how big box chains can affect tech and our access to tech. Politics could be about how people who are in poverty areas can't get access to tech and it holds them back. It holds their education back, right? So you could do that. And of course, your other aspect is to say, I am afraid to really disrupt that. Go start another channel and litmus test it. Really, just put it out there and go all in on it. And what may happen is you find yourself loving that more, and you may decide just to go for it. You can always tell people in the other one, this is what I'm doing, move over here, if you don't want to take that chance. And so that's something you'll have to decide, is how much you're willing to upset the current apple cart. But either you go for it and intermingle it, or you've got to say, you know what, okay, I'm going to start something else over here. I'm going to call it something, Uncle Sue's Politics. And you and your big first brain are going to get over there and do just fine if you decide to do that. I want to do a follow-up. I missed something. I do interviews, so I do not know how to niche down from here. Well, now the interviews are not the problem with your channel, right? So you're just talking about, if you're doing interviews, one's going to be two different topics. It could, maybe you just got to rebrand your channel then to something. I mean, it's Uncle Stu, man on the block. I mean, what I love about that, Stu, when I hear that title, what I think is a wise guy sitting on a porch on the block, and you've got comments about everything from politics to tech to, I don't know, the water department to that neighbor's dog's haircut is terrible and we need to do something about it. I see that. Like, you totally can go ahead and broaden out, and you be the niche. You be Stu on the block. This is my block. I talk about all these things, and you're going to find that whether you're talking about recipes or politics or tech or whatever, it's your perspective that people eventually will come to do. You may not draw, maybe you don't have 1 million subs because it's not niched down, but you know what? You're going to have a happy group of 10,000, or, you know, eventually you're going to grow a lot of people because they're going to really love Stu talking about the stuff the way that he wants it to be heard. I think you go that route. That's my 2 cents on that. Well, you know what, Patrick, you're a very kind person. You've been very supportive. And I know you're making videos I want because I'm here for the long run. And therein lies the issue that I ran into, Patrick. And I always ended up being, and this is not John's fault, when I say I kind of ended up being John's right-hand man, I had never really declared a path for myself. I never really cut out a groove for myself. That is nobody's fault but mine. And it's not even a fault I regret. It's just the way it worked out. And now we're at a point where, you know, it just happened that everything converged like time does. And now I'm sitting here with a clear mind and a calmness about where I'm going. And if I have just 6 people along the ride for me in this chat to do it, I'm okay with that. Because here's how it's going to go down. Building a second brain that cannot be explained to you in an hour stream or in 2 minutes. It's a life. It's something I think could help so many of you. I see the people talking about being information overload. I want to circle back. It's something that's helping me. I got slight ADHD. I have a horrible crippling anxiety, which I do want to talk about more down the road. I didn't really want to talk about that in a co-host setting. But 15 years ago, I had some things in my life happen that were pretty traumatic, and never knew I had anxiety. And I started having 24/7 anxiety attacks for the first time in my life. And it was pretty bad. We all go through things. That's not the point. I was fired off of album gigs I was in the middle of at lunch. I lost projects I'd worked on for years because I couldn't work on them, and I damaged relationships. You know the deal. These things happen to all of us. I'm not special. And so I want, these are things that I'm going to mingle into my thing, not to draw down and be sad, but there are tools and solutions, and some of them are productivity tools. Some of them are mental models that we can use to get past these things. So it's not just about creativity roadblocks and being overwhelmed with trying to come up with creativity and finish projects to completion, because let's be honest, so many YouTubers are not finishing projects to completion for a lot of different reasons, and we can talk about that. So I'm just going to tell you right now, moving forward, when I do live streams, they're not going to be like John and I did. And I'm not going to probably set up a whole lot of things. Come and join us for tech comparison. I'm not doing that. If I have something I want to talk about, like Patrick and I've talked about this, I got a Keychron keyboard, a K2. I'm not going to go out and get 20 keyboards like he knows I could do, put together a keyboard playlist, and I'd probably get 3,000 subs in a week. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk about the keyboard I got, why I got it. You may or may not want to get it, and that's why I got it. That's how I'm going to go down. I'll talk about my struggles, because here's the thing. I am going to learn to be a writer. So I've decided I want to write blogs. I want to write scripts for my videos and maybe more down the road. And so we have some plans, me and some people. But I've never done that. And this is what I got into this program for. So I'll start getting into something called like Ship 30 for 30. If you know what that is, it's a 30-day essay program. I'll get into some other type of writing programs because I am so uncomfortable writing. And I'm going to take you along for the ride. I'm going to do an unpolished exploration, and you're going to come with me. You're going to come with me. I may just pull up a stream while I'm struggling to pick out a note app that I want. Why I'm struggling. Why don't know. I pulled down 2 terabytes of information off of 3 Google Drives and 2 Dropboxes the other night, and that turned into a nightmare, but I got it sorted out. 20 years of files. We'll get into it. Yeah. I hope you do, Uncle Stu. Dude, I've watched enough of you to know you've got such a way. There are people with charisma, and I love your charisma. I think Don and Patrick and Brian, all you have so much. The only difference between you and me is tonight I have the mic. That's it. There's nothing special what's going on here. Live streaming isn't that complicated, really. Okay? It's not that complicated. I'm going to be honest with you. Once you get past the tech and figure it out and do a couple streams, it's going to come down to you and I. It's going to come down to the human factor, okay? And the human tool is so interesting to me. Cashew lays it down. Sometimes it's best to take a step forward and see how the path unfolds before you. Wonderment, right? Look, we're not afforded as adults to be full of wonderment and go after curiosity a lot. Who in here still has wonderment and curiosity, wants to learn something new, who wants to express? I don't even care if you're doing it right now. I don't care if your expression is just to, I don't know. What could your expression be? Put together a recipe book or paint. It doesn't matter. Learn a language. Make a desk, make an instrument, learn to play an instrument. It doesn't matter. Like, who in here wants to do it? Who's still, we have so much. I'm going to get back to that abundance thing you guys laid down a second ago because it circles back to that. I'm not going to reread these. I'm just going to go, just for the records, one of you were perceived as many others here. Just I forget. Oh, I love that. I appreciate that. John and I really enjoyed our time. And yeah, I don't know. I learned so much from him, from all of you, and now we're here. We're not going to pay Cashew. The pay is unmatched. Yeah. Okay, so Brian, I guess we want to talk. Nice. Me too on writing. I'd love to talk to you about that. And get a couple people. Maybe if there are other people who are interested in trying to learn how to just write on any level, write a script, write an essay, write up for a blog, anything. Write just to be a better writer. We're going to get into that because there are so many better ways, people. We are losing our minds on our personal knowledge management systems. We have to build one. Why? I'm going to talk about that now. Okay. Yeah, I want to know how things go, Uncle Stu. I really do. And tell me which way. I'm just curious which way you're leaning, you know? Abundance. So Uncle Stu mentioned it. I think Rodrigo. We know we're consumers, man. We know how to eat information at lightning pace. We gorge and hoard information. We are consumers of information like never before. And why is that? A couple reasons. One, it's available. It's abundant. You know, before the phone. So the iPhone, when did the iPhone come out, Patrick? Like 2007, the first one? Facebook hit 2006. It's not been, these have not been around. They weren't even mature. They just hit the ground at that time. Think about that. So they probably didn't hit their strides till 2012. Then high-speed internet really started taking shape about then. Now we're into the matrix. We got a lot of back and forth, a lot of bi-directional all the time. We all got phones. And then guess what kicked in? 2015, all those algorithms, they figured us out. They figured out what we wanted, when we want it, give it to us all the time. So not only, so keep in mind, before 2006, 7, even then, we weren't really in the history of the world, we never had this overabundance of information beating us to death. We had to actually go search for it. Libraries, maybe we had to go on websites, take a look around, ask around, research. We weren't overloaded. We were in control of it. We were in control of the speed of it. And then it all came together. Early, 2015, 2017, there's a tipping point. And next thing you know, we've got phones that we are addicted to. They figured out how to gamify every social media. We're on there all the time. So what do they sell us? What we're looking for. And what do? We go look for what we're looking for. And what does it do? It gives us more of what we're looking for. We all are guilty of it. Nowadays, you go onto YouTube and you're like, I just need to know how to change the tire on the car. 4 hours later, fast forward, and you're trying to start a farm, of Angora rabbits. And you got a playlist up on YouTube. Because we all have so many interests. That's why I asked, are you curious? Do you have a lot of things you might want to do in your life if you had the opportunity? Well, now, never in the history of the world have we had more abundance of information and time and resources and opportunities. What do we do with that when they didn't extend the day? They gave us all of this stuff and they only still gave us 24 hours a day. That's really asinine. So what we do is we try to keep up. And if you want to be productive, what do? You research. I got a project, I go research. I don't really want to do the project because it's kind of a pain point. So what do? I go do more research because that'll make the pain point easier to express and correct. The reason I'm not expressing is because I don't really have the right information yet. I'm going to go back on Reddit. I'm going to go back on YouTube. I'm going to check it out. Hey, Daniel, how you doing, man? So good to see you. I appreciate it. Thumbnail. Awesome. Yeah. I love where you're going, Dan. I know you're ready to break off into a new track. I'm so excited for that. I'm breaking off into a new track in a different way. Abundance. We have abundance of information. Anybody who now has gone down to try to research knows that. So let's take a musician, for example. Because I'm a musician, I'm going to lean into it. Musicians have this habit. I want to learn something. Maybe I want to learn a constant release foot pedal motion. I'm going to go on, I'm going to start researching that. I'm into YouTube, onto Drumeo. I'm on all these different fan sites. But I'm not practicing. I'm researching. I'm going to set, as soon as I get the right exercises, as soon as I get the right guy explaining it to me, as soon as I've watched enough videos, I'll get to practicing. 4 weeks later, you're still staring at the damn foot pedal and you haven't practiced any of it, any of the motion, because you're still study planning. You're still waiting for that one thing that's going to really put you in the mode. You're not going to get in the flow until you have that right information. And that's a lie. We snack food on information. We hoard information and we don't even know where we're putting it. We're unorganized about where we put it, most of us. We can't find it later on. Then we get anxious and anxiety ridden about it. We haven't practiced. So that's what getting to the whole build a second brain thing does. It teaches you how to set up intentional, actionable projects that are meaningful. It teaches you how to be disciplined and to look at information with intent, with discipline, and with resonant antennas. It's like a curator of a museum. You only have so many walls. You got to pick the right. You got to be very, specific about what you want. You got to get the right paintings. You can't just put every painting on the wall. It's a finite wall. So if you want to be able to collect information that you can distill down and that you can plop down at some point, and when you do your project, your canvas is not blank, you need a second brain type of flow. It's a model. It's not a tool-based thing. I think that's where people get confused. And I will explain that, not tonight, down the road, but tonight's just about explaining what's happening. Dan, so you probably already know Dan, that John will not be joining us on these streams anymore. I'll be doing my streams on my channel alone. He'll be doing his. No drama. Love each other. But it's time to do our thing and focus, and you know what that's like because you've been doing that for, I think, almost 5 years. And look at how well it paid off for you, my friend. You did it great. Break it off. Thank you. I appreciate that. So Brian, your thought was, I'm taking a LinkedIn learning class on better writing. Well, I want to talk to you about that. You're right, Jay. There were things I'd wait for 5 years to finally have an answer to. No kidding. No, and you're not alone. So I took this course and I saw people who worked for Apple. I saw people who worked for, other Twitter. I saw people who were long-term writers and script writers and who were professionals at what they do and all had the same problems we have. No one's immune to it. It's not about access. It's not about money. It's not about intelligence. It's not about level of creativity. It's about awareness. And we are now in a world where we have information exhaustion. We are exhausted by the opportunities. We're exhausted about it. We do not have the set of skill sets to address what we are dealing with adequately. And it's not a difficult solution. I think that's the thing that's really interesting about all of it. It's tool agnostic. You could use a bullet journal and write in it and have the same outcome for the most part. Obviously, digital age makes a lot of this easier now, and there are tools, but there is no all-in-one tool. I thought Notion or something like that would be, and I ran into walls with that. There is no all-in-one tool, and you shouldn't do that. Make the tool work for you efficiently. It needs to work in your flow. It needs to give you something back. It should not be taken from you. So that's a whole nother thing we'll get into, but I don't want to talk about that too deep tonight. So there is a huge caveat to those. We still are limited to a human processing pace, and we have a lot of misinformation in the mix to sift through. Plus, we get bored and impatient much faster. There's another problem with all that, and you hit a lot of that on the nose, by the way. The other issue we run into, yes, there's misinformation. There are people selling us bad information on top of it, and they're feeding off of our FOMO. Well, the other issue is this: take the musician again, take a drummer. I'm just throwing that out there as the thing. He's over researching, he's study planning, but he's not practicing. But at the same time he's doing that, the algorithms know what he's looking for. So what are they doing in his social feeds? They're shoving all the people who are trying to give him lesson plans or are really good at what he wants to do already. I see this in my feed. Guys who are brilliant at this technique already. So now I've got comparison failure problems. Not only I'm not practicing, not only I'm exhausted from the information, but the social media is drawing me into all these comparisons of people who are really good at what they do, and it's oppressing the hell out of me. I don't even want to go practice now. I built in another excuse, right? You are in a world of hurt if you're not aware of how you're being gamed, right? Yeah, so. Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate these are some wise things. We can also easily feel down when we have an instant feedback, especially negativity and raw. We're aware of how many people are way ahead of us. So yeah, that comes into that, right? That competitive or comparison awareness. And it all just feeds down on you, man. It's, we're already fragile enough, especially when you want to create. You are vulnerable. And so you run into problems. So there are ways to fix all this though. It's not like it's all doom and gloom. It's just, we need to make some model changes in our life, some small ones to fit our flow and our work and to just change and game the system for ourselves. And there are ways to do that. It's not that hard to do, but I think a lot of people are really struggling with it. We all get fired up on YouTube. We start out, we're going to do a million things, and then it beats down on us right away when we have to distill what we need to distill and then put it together. That's where the work starts. Because we think capturing is being productive. We think organizing is being productive, and it's not. None of that is being productive. And productivity, by the way, shouldn't be about making you work more. Productivity is supposed to actually buy you time. It should be, if you're doing productivity right, it should buy you time to be productive, get your things done, but it should buy you time with family. It should buy you time with some mental health, some chill, but it also should buy you time with reflectiveness. It's a time to review what you're doing, review something you've read, review where you're going. We don't spend the time thinking and sitting. And so that is all part of that as well. So we'll talk about that on our journey. Hey, Dimebag, how you doing, sir? God, no, I don't know what time it is. It's 10 a.m. Yeah. Going through an hour of this stuff, Dimebag. You'll get caught up, probably realizing some changes on the site, and that's cool. We'll get you get you caught up in there. Yeah. So check it out. So there's some basic information if you want to learn more. There's tons of this, of course you can find a lot of things on YouTube. That's the official website of Tiago. I'm not shilling for them. I don't make any money. Whatever. If you're interested, you go down that path. Jim, how you doing, sir? Jim's creative. So look at Jim. So Jim built out I believe a pretty cool speaker. Now, I don't know if you ever had aspirations of building out a ton of speakers. It doesn't matter. Like, I build cajones, and I build about 20 different versions, and I hit what I call just that final versions were so good. I'm like, I might be done building these because I can't do any better on sound and build. I enjoyed the process, so maybe it's time to move on to something else. Maybe that's what happened in Jim's world. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm excited to, again, kind of go through process of what it's going to take to become better at building a second brain, which ultimately means better at being productive. And what that, of course, means completing intentional projects. That means expressing, means output, whether it could be a live stream, but of course recorded videos or other projects in my life that need to be taken care of. And I want to bring you along the way because anybody can use it. If you're a mom or a dad who just works at home and is trying to plan a Disney trip, I mean, there's probably nothing more stressful to keep under personal knowledge management bubbles than just family life, health of the family, finances of the family, travel of the family. Where are my resources? Where are the projects? Where are the tasks? Are we collaborating as a group? And they're so really cool. There's so many cool tools to be able to do that today. Free tools, by the way, simple tools. And so I'm going to talk about those along the way. And I want you guys to step in and help me and give me your perspective along the way of what tools you like and why you like them. And if you have experience with them, or if you just think it's just a complete mistake, I don't care. Whatever you want to do, that's fine with me. And along the way, I will, I'll make some videos of those items along the way, and we'll kind of build from there. And I've got a long way to go when it comes to recorded videos, but we'll do okay. This is a good question, Brian. Are you going to stream at a consultant? I think he means consistent schedule, or I'd like to follow along the second brain journey. So. Let me know if I butchered that. Do you mean consultant schedule? And tell me what you mean by that, or did you mean consistent schedule? I definitely want to make a playlist of these and play out what I'm going to do. Why? Because along the life of what we're doing, we fail to make what they call intermediate packets, which are storable blocks that we can use down the road, right? So if I set up a live stream for Brian or all of us to start along this journey. Let's say I did it on a note-taking app. Now, that note-taking app, I should be able to pull out a piece of what I did into a packet, put into a resource for future use to draw on, and then make a video with that information brought in, make a blog. I don't know. Like, there's other things you can do or relate it to another video I do down the road. So I hope that's what I want to do. I would like to use my videos instead of coming on going, we're just going to talk about this for whatever reason. They are going to be journey driven. I'll make them shorter, so that's going to probably happen, but they're going to be very to the point, and I want them to be very interactive if possible. If you just want to watch and lurk and see how I fumble around and screw up. I'm also going to do this, by the way. I plan to do this with my music journey, which is why we're setting the drums up today. I'm taking my lessons again. I'm tracking my good friend from Italy down. He's a world-class metal drummer. One of the coolest people I know. of the most creative people I know, one of the best technical drummers I've ever seen in my life. And I'm going to take his speed drumming courses. I'm not a speed drummer. And I'm never going to play like him. But I want to kind of do a walkthrough of what that journey is like. And it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a damn mess. Because learning high skills in anything, whether it's drumming or cello or anything, is a mess. Or creativity efforts. It's a mess, right? But I want to bring you along the way on that too. I don't care. Getting back to what Stu said, Uncle Stu, I don't care if it doesn't niche down. It's my niche. Screw it. Leave. Okay. So management tools I can only really think of are Excel. That's fine. It's a good starting place. I remember Patrick mentioned he uses Google Keep. Google Keep's free. Great for certain things, for quick captures, right? For fleeting note capture type stuff. We're going to talk about all that as we go, Rob. You're here a lot, so you're going to pick up a lot of. Information on these things from. Well, let's just see. You got management tools. That's pretty wide open. I mean, you could get into anything there, like Raindrop, Mindful, Evernote, Notion, Obsidian. Stop me. I mean, it goes on and on. Like there's like endless management tools, Excel, anything. That's the thing. We have so many opportunities. This is where another thing. People get so wrapped up in FOMO with the productivity tools. Again, the tools don't matter. Find one that works for you. Do not give up on tools within 18 months. Stop that. Stop it. Slap your hand. Don't do it. Give it 18 months. You'll know. You can always change, man. You can't get locked into these environments, but you also cannot be jumping in and out of them like crazy. You got to stick with them a while because you have to find your process. And then you'll go, well, my process is fine. I'm figuring it out, but this tool's not working for my process. But at least now we know it's the tool and not your process, right? You can't be a moving target with this stuff. Settle down. And I'm really looking at myself in the monitor, talking to myself. I'm not berating you guys. You guys do what you want. You guys can do. Consistent. Okay. You know what? To be determined. If you want me to be consistent and doing it, I could do it because I've got a lot to learn and I'm doing. I'd be happy to go start at ground zero where I'm at, which is file management of my old stuff, which really is not really second brain stuff, but it's kind of what I learned and how I could give that information. That's pretty fresh. There is a tool called Cloud, which I love. I'm going to explain this. I'm not going to get into it tonight. I'll maybe do a stream on this. So I have Google. I have AWS3 storages. I have lots of Dropboxes. I have lots of Google Drives. So let's just say I have Evernote. I've got like maybe 7, 8 different cloud drives with endless information spread across the spectrum that just grew over time. And if you know, pulling down information off of those, organizing and pushing it back up is a cluster for a lot of different reasons. So I went down that train. I found some good practical ways of dealing with it. And one tool I'll let you know, and I'll show an example of it maybe next time, is called Cloud. And what I like about it is you can attach all your cloud devices in there. And if I want to move something from Dropbox to this Google, or I want to move Google to Dropbox or AWS, I don't have to pull down and push up. I can just drag and drop between my clouds. This folder over to this one, this Google to this Dropbox, AWS over to here. It saves, their servers are so much faster. It saves a lot of time, and it's free. And I would like to let you guys know that, because if you're dealing with a lot of cloud-based storage, which I am, then it's nice to have the opportunity to move things around without having to drag it down and deal with all that stuff. But we'll talk about that. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Consultant schedule, work 5 hours, charge a client 8 hours, fudge the timer, right? The clock, go out to dinner and charge it as a business expense. And don't forget, when you stop to get gas, you just let that thing roll, even though you're going to dinner. Oh, Patrick, I have an idea for you and I to do a stream one night. Here's another thing I want to do. And I'm glad you and Brian are here, especially. I've been reaching out to some creative friends of mine now that I've got this space. There was no way for me to do the interview style streams that I wanted to do with the way John and I were doing it. And again, not his fault. It's just, that's the structure of it. You know, it's too hard and it's not fair to the guest. But I love to interview. I'm very interested in stories. And I always bring it back to YouTube or the creative struggle or the creative curiosity. But there's some things I really want to. I've had some off-camera interview sessions with Brian that I just loved. They were sit down and they were lovely conversations. And I think that anybody would enjoy listening to and it's information that's accessible. And I was thinking about that with you and I was thinking something like we could do a stream once in a while, like 2 productivity hacks. And it's just you and I. We're the hacks. It's a play on word. And we just bring up maybe we do a pro and con on a particular, we do like a debate on a particular item, notion, for example. Why it's great for productivity, why it's not. I don't know. I'm going to bring it out, but there's a lot of stories. Don's got stories. I mean, he just got up and running. Rodrigo's got stories. Dimebag, everybody's got stories. I love to hear those stories. And I have my drummer friends out in LA and in Italy and other musicians and painters and gardeners and things that have stories that all relate to the same thing. It all centers around curiosity, the pursuit of wonderment. And as an adult, I'm going to keep pushing the pursuit of wonderment on you. So deal with it. All those drummers are great. I saw Hellhammer and all those guys. Yeah, look up James Payne, jamespaynesdrum.com. He's now touring worldwide with Cataclysm, the K. I think they're out of Italy. And he's just fantastic. And I helped him we built an e-commerce web, whole-on website, subscription-based site for him. He's got 200 lessons on that thing already, and it's just blowing up. And I'm so proud of him and what we created. And I just think I would like to expose him to this group. I think you all would really love his story and what he's about. It's interesting. So I only think consistency only applies to changes, ironically. I was meant to be a full stack dev by now, but I ended up improving on something else. So meaning you're flexible, and meaning you saw things, that weren't going to work for you, or they didn't work for you. I have a stack that I use for web dev. I'm flexible with it, but I do have a core group, because the problem with productivity is your environment. That could be your stack, could be your room. You've got to make your tools, your environment, to get into a flow. Create a flow means you're just in it. You're on a zone, like a runner's high. You're in it. You're not thinking about other people. You're not thinking about doing other things. You're feeling it. You know what I mean. You're not in there long, but you get in that flow for like maybe 60 minutes if you're lucky. There's a ramp up into it. But you can't do it if your environment is wonky to you, if you're clumsing around trying to get stuff together and your apps are all clunky. You got a digital nightmare. You don't know where your stuff is, for example. There's a movie, I'm going to age myself. There's a movie I was turned on to. Remember Gene Kelly, dancer, American in Paris? And there's a scene in American in Paris where he's in his room and he wakes up. It's a very, very, very tiny room. Very tiny. And the whole scene, there's no words. He just wakes up and he's dancing as he wakes up, and it goes through him maneuver around this mess of a room that's so tight, and how he pushes the bed here. He brings this drop-down table out of the closet. Everything's so effortless. It's like a ballerina. He's in the flow. He's not kicking things. He's not running into things, screaming and swearing like I would. He's in this dance. He's got it all. Every morning, he's got this all figured out. He goes through this. He's in a flow. And then at one point, as he's doing this, he stops and he looks at a canvas of a drawing that he's doing. And he stops and looks at a minute detail, and he makes a small little change. And he saw that small little change because even with all that nonsense going on around him, that craziness, that looks like chaos to us, he was in control of it. He had made that flow for him, okay? And so there's a thing you have to do. You have to get your life in that order. It's never going to be perfect, but it's about you finding your flow through that controlled chaos. And it's okay to be kind of a creative mess. Some of the best creatives in the world were messy. If you walk into painters, some of the best painters, trying to think, you go to New York, some of the best painters in the world, you go in there, it's a mess. Canvases thrown around, paint cans tipped over, and you're like, why aren't you picking this up? And they won't, because they're drawing inspiration. For them, they're drawing inspiration from all that stuff. They're going to pick and pull from that pile at some point, and they're going to utilize that stuff. It works for them. They understand their flow. Well, I'll finish that thought with you, Rodrigo. Would you recommend having a dedicated device only for those management tasks? I'd always forget notes I take. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. And I would like to hear, Patrick, if you're here, your thoughts on this. I went into Notion. I love Notion. I'll explain what parts of Notion I'm going to use for my second brain, but it's going to be split off. I tried to build all my tasks into Notion a la Thomas Frank, who, by the way, I got to meet in this session. You probably know Patrick, who he is. I got to speak. I'm a fanboy. And to have a 10-minute conversation with him one-on-one was just crazy dreamy. So yeah, that was my fanboy moment. I'm going to drop that name. He's a lovely person. However, I tried to go down that path with the task in Notion. It doesn't work for me. I really believe you need a separate task manager. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do specific project tasks that are, really tied to that project. You can't dump a couple checklist things in there. Fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But on a macro high level, planning of your days and reviews, and we need to talk about reviews at some point, and daily reviews and weekly reviews, by the way, at some point. There's so much to talk about. It's endless. I love it. No, I think you need a separate task manager. I use Todoist. If you have Apple, what's the Apple version? I think not Alfred? Not Alfred. That's the other thing. Never mind. Tell me every day, Patrick. Tell me what the app that a lot of people use. But but Todoist is Apple Windows. It's on every device. I would suggest getting it on every device, and that's what you need. You need to bring that with you, and that's your brain. That is where you set your intentions. That is where you set your actions. Because without actions, your goals are just your projects. They're just dreams. You got to set actions. I'm learning that about myself. So I'm not saying that just to you guys. This is all, I'm just exposing myself. Apparently I had a lot of dreams going into this thing. I knew that on some level. I'll do that. I'll get in touch with you, Patrick. I meant to before. I'm reaching out to people. Yeah, my style. Okay, so I grew up, I'm all over the map. So I toured with Symphony. I did that. The drum corps. I went into college. I got a music scholarship. Screwed around, lost that. Then decided to go into business. My music, I play a lot of percussion because I am a percussionist and I'm not just a drummer. And there's a difference between a drummer and percussionist. We're snobby like that. So like if you're going to play a symphony, you can't just play snare drum. But you got to play mallets. You got to play timpani. You have to try out on all those instruments. And I enjoyed that very much. So I like that. Congos, African instruments. I made a living on the cajon. Built cajones because I loved it so much. That became my thing. And I got asked to play everywhere on that thing, all over. Indie rock, maybe. I guess if you're going to really pin it down, I toured with one of my best friends, my best friend, Inda. We met way back when in a parking lot on tour when she came through for a gig at Shank Hall. Yes, Shank Hall from the Rockumentary. And that day we met, we were long lost friends, and I started on percussion and became a drummer. And I played with a lot of different people, but that was my go-to and my favorite. And that's indie rock, I guess you'd say. But I played a lot of different genres with other artists around here, especially. I've never played. Metal rock was never my thing. I wasn't really into it. I love percussion. I love hybrid kits. So a hybrid kit would be me playing a drum kit with percussion at the same time. Big fan of that. So that's kind of my style. Who's a good person I can think of? I'll come up with some names. Maybe I can point you to. Yeah, Things. Thank you. Yeah, Things. Is it Things 3 or Things? I can't remember, but Things is great. I don't have that. I wanted that. But Todoist is wonderful, man. So go with that. You found American in Paris. Yeah, go check it out. Is that the scene? I don't know if that's the actual scene. It's a famous scene, though. You know what? I'll give him a little. He'll probably laugh at me. But that's the website we built. That's what he does. He's on tour right now. He's on YouTube. You can't miss him. In fact, here's the joke of it. I started taking lessons from a world-round technical guy, probably the best technical guy in our era, I think, one of the best, in Bruce Becker. And he met, I don't know if he met in Italy, James, a young kid, turned me on to him. We had a website issue. I met him up on Skype and we became fast, deep friends for life. And then we started this project. It's so weird how we're connected today. We didn't even meet for like 2 years after we started our friendships, and that's something. But I love James. He's a wonderful soul. Yeah, musically. So but no, I'm not. That's the whole thing. I'm not James Style, but we just click as a person. But yeah, find him on YouTube. That's where I'd seen him before I was even brought his name up. I loved his style. I love the way he teaches every technique, and anybody from country to jazz would benefit on the way he approaches his technique. It's agnostic, and he studies voraciously, especially about neuroscience and biology, and he breaks it down. And he's just, I really love how he just pushes through and does his stuff. And I think inherently, and he uses Trello, but inherently, he already knows how to get information in, distill it, and put it out. Like that's just, some people have that, but a lot of us don't, and we have to kind of get with it. Patrick says, I agree regarding Notion. I feel you can get things close, but there's always that one thing missing. It's such a beautiful thing. I love Notion so much. You can get lost in Notion, and I think over architect it. You can get down into losing time, which is not good for productivity. So if you have a real purpose, I did put together some content hubs that makes sense. I put together a practice hub that makes sense that I will leave in there. But my second brain will not be housed there. It's going to be housed in Rome Research. And I'll explain why down the road. But I appreciate your honesty on that. Maybe that's something we can talk about. One of the first things. I think we need to have that discussion. I know I've been all over the map tonight, guys. I really appreciate you letting me just run all over. I hope it hasn't been too disjointed. I'm trying to watch chat. I'm trying to honor you. I know it's a small group. I get it. It's fine. I knew it would be. I'm not going to have the draw that John has. John has the power of his channel being monetized. He has the community tab and all that. I don't even have that. I'm about 90 short, I think, of having community. I hope I can have that at some point to reach out. But I know at the end of the day, it doesn't bother me. If I can do an hour and 5 people here and a couple people really can learn something, that will help me learn. And then I will build my channel through my videos now. Moving forward, it'll take care of itself. I don't care. I'm not a slave to numbers. I'm a slave to quality. And I look in my chat tonight and people have been in and out, and I'm like, you all are quality. I love all of you. And I say that truthfully. Yeah, I just appreciate you. And I do believe small is powerful, Brian. And I appreciate you being here because, man, you are one busy cat yourself. And it's been tough. Okay, I didn't know this. All right, so Rodrigo, I'm an electric guitar guy, and I'm very much into metal. Not an elitist, though. I've noticed that people get very stuck in the different genres of the different cliques of metal. I think and when we're younger, we do that. I think as we get older, I think it's self-defeating to get into that. I get these questions all the time. Do you think Neil Peart was the best drummer ever? No, I don't. I don't know that anybody was the best drummer ever. How do you compare all the drummers? Different eras, from the Buddy Riches to I mean, are you kidding me with this? I just try to enjoy what they do. Okay. There's enough competition out there. I don't need to bring that into my music world. I see it too much. It's one of the reasons I hated American Idol when they started making music a combat sport, especially making it a combat sport off of other people's music. Do what you want to do. I don't care. American Idol could care less what I think. It's just my opinion. I stay away from that. Okay. So yeah. Thank you, Amy. Here's another big supporter of mine. Tell you what, I would imagine a lot of us feel that way, but a lot of times you're not going to continue unless you have support from friends, but especially people have to live with your nonsense. and the time that you spend and the emotions that you go through. And there's been a lot of emotions lately, of course, but we're on a high right now, and it's all looking positive for John and for me. And I love that. I love that people are moving out to positivity, and there's positivity. You're 94 subs away from that. I know. I keep dilling around. I'm always at like 96. I'm at 93. I keep floating in that 407. I'll give you a case in point. Brian, we've had this discussion before. Phil Collins. Hey, you know what? I want to put out a link out. Cashew, I don't know if you can find it. There's for Brian especially, there's an incredible version, if you haven't seen it, people, of In the Air Tonight. Phil Collins, live. You can't miss it if you're looking around for it. It's probably one of the most watched ones of it. But take a look at it. You'll see it. It's because it's a big stage. It's a long intro where he walks out. It looks like he's wearing it looks like he's going to meditate. Can't miss it. Well, it's phenomenal. And that build up to him dropping in on the drums on that tune, man, I know I've heard that song a million times growing up, but it'll give you chills. It's wonderful. I could always track it down. It's wonderful though. I absolutely love it. I'm unmoderatable. No, you're not, man. I love the comments. I love that. I'm a huge Phil Collins fan. Incredibly underrated. And if you watch that video, I just don't think people can appreciate how difficult it is to sing and play drums at the same time. But not only that, but if you look at the rhythm that he's playing on those drums, and it looks easy, but it's so out of time. I think he's coming in maybe on an A beat or an E beat. It's not on a downbeat. It's not on an upbeat. It's so caught in the middle of a beat. And he's singing at the same time, and he's having to sing and hold that breath. The power of that man. And it's a shame what's happened to him. He can't play anymore. He's quitting because his wrists are shot. His health has deteriorated, but he's got the drummer wrist, and that's the problem. I have having back pains from drumming recently. It's incredible. I will find it. Tony Thompson's a beast. Peter Gabriel, that's one that I was trying to think of because, oh my God, Peter Gabriel's amazing. And Peter Gabriel was one of those who mashed up really cool sounds, and yeah, big fan of Peter Gabriel. Yeah. Clash of Mods. Yeah. So I'm not going to keep us much longer. I think I said enough to get out the point of what's going on and where we're going. I didn't have any bullet points tonight. Tonight was all winging it. There was no sketch. So I probably went into weeds, but it's okay. I like going into weeds. I think you find some of the best gems going into the weeds. You find people, places, and things by going on the beaten path. I got out of college. I had an interview with a Ford supplier in Detroit. They offered me the job. And I sat there with my tie on and a suit. And I thought, I can't do this. I'm going to throw up. It's a death to me to do this. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And a friend of mine, days later, was like, I want to start a llama farm. And I'm like, sure, why not? I have no money. I have nothing. I'm renting. What are you going to do, right? So you chose a path that's crazy, and it worked out, right? And that's the point. It's okay to choose paths that don't work out. It's okay to go in the weeds, find yourself. Sometimes it doesn't work out at all. Sometimes it's a disaster, but you learn from the disaster too. So got to run. Thank you, Patrick, for dropping in. I really appreciate you, and I'll be going to contact you. Thanks for the drops. Really appreciate it. I didn't drop out of college. I did finish college, but you said GA, Business Administration and Language. I am, however, an IT guy. That's the thing. I mean, if you're going to be in that discussion someday, I'm going to say kind of college, kind of overrated. I finished college. I got my business degrees and my econ degree, but in a way, I never felt I used it. I mean, I did because it gave me the basic tools to figure out how to run a farm. That was my job. How to build databases, because I'm so old. When I started in comp sci first year, I took Fortran language, and I took COBOL language. So I had some of that computer sci background, and I really fell in love with databases and the relation they can bring and the power That's always been kind of something. That's a really interesting. John Bonham, Fool in a Range, one of my best things. His grooves, he started those grooves, right? Those shuffles. A lot of people like the Purdy type shuffles. Fantastic. A lot of people don't even still know how he did it with his foot. He did it with a single foot, a lot of his good stuff. But there's not a lot of footage with him using his feet, so a lot of people are guessing about his technique that he used. Yeah, crazy. Oh, God, Rick, yeah. Very familiar with Rick. You want to share his story? Oh, did he? I don't know the story, but I'd be interested. Rick is fantastic. I wish I could get in there more. I'd love to know the story he shared. It'd be very interesting. I think you should do it. Wear a necktie. Don't be afraid of it. Wear a necktie, cowboy hat, and shorts. Maybe jorts, jean shorts. Go out there, live your life. Live it free. Visual Basic. Yes. So I remember I had to write. There was no software in the early 90s for herd management. We had 300 animals at one point, and you need things for health records and feed records and blah, blah, blahs for whatever, right? So I'm like, I'm going to have to write something. And I remember going into like Visual Basic. I remember in the end I used, Access Database with Microsoft. I just pulled that out. There wasn't online stuff, guys. And I just built the herd management straight up from that. And eventually I did one for the web using Cold Fusion. Remember Cold Fusion, guys? Remember the Cold Fusion engine? It's fun stuff. Yeah, I miss that stuff. Yeah, Peter Gabriel's videos blew my mind too. It really was fantastic. We'll end with some of these because I think it's fun to talk about. Yeah, Led Zeppelin sound quality isn't bad on a high end. It's not. That's the thing. You can get into some deep stuff, and maybe over time we'll talk about that too. Obviously, I'm not a music channel per se, but I love to. There's no reason we can't end streams talking about music. And I'm still a fan of. I wasn't at the time, but I've come to understand Queen so much. I still dip into the Live Aid 85, so I still think it's probably the best set of rock music that's ever been performed ever. I still have to watch it every so often. It just brings chills, but he was an incredible, the whole band's just incredible talent. My God. I miss that. I'm not trying to diss on current talent. It's just different. And what they had to go through and what they had to do to get the sound out and how well they did it. And the creativity that they were afforded that I don't think today people are afforded that creativity. Access 98 guarantee. Yep. Guaranteed to lose all of your data. I struggled with it. I got through some things, but I got to tell you, I had to get out of there pretty quick. It was pretty bad. So, all right, we're going to end. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, I'm an extreme perfectionist according to my wife. I don't doubt that. I think if you're going to build the things that you built, yeah, you got to kind of be it. Well, there's a link in there. That's it. I'm pretty sure. That would be, you really went hunting because I saw you went missing. I'm pretty sure that's the one. It's fantastic watch, and tell me, write me back or come find me next stream and let me know what you think of that. It's a lovely build up. It gives great old homage to the original. And everybody in that audience, everybody in that stadium knew what he was going to do, and they still lost their minds when he did it. And the way that he ends that, way he builds with it vocally is incredible. I'm just so impressed that he probably was in his mid 50s when he did that. I'm thinking it was probably, I can't remember when, it was early 2000s, but all right, everybody. So we're on our second brain tour, our new journey, our unpolished exploration. I hope you'll come back. I hope I got a few of you to want to come back and enjoy and have conversations, and then we'll build in interviews here and there. I will try to be consistent. I can't guarantee that, but I hope so, and I hope that you'll come back and be with me, man. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the energy, Jim. I appreciate that. I'm glad you caught me live too. I always love seeing your puppy dog's face, but I know you're there, and you're always a lovely energy to come in here. And Rodrigo, man, thanks for dropping the nuggets of info. I appreciate that. Brian, Patrick, I mean, you've just been buds ever since I met you. I feel like Cashew, there's no words. Always, you just amazing. You are the gem that we know you are. Don, thank you. You might be looking at the Bruins game. I hope you're winning. For the people who stopped in, I appreciate it. And I hope to see you guys sometime. I imagine I'll come up with something next week. We'll kind of do an intro into what this program maybe be for me, where I'm at into it. I can't leave without saying hi to TH2. you drop in here at the last second. And you know what? I don't care if you're here for 1 second. I just love seeing your hello. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you being here with changes and new things on the horizon. It means a lot to me. Yeah, they won. Great. And I thank you guys for everything that you do. And I know sometimes it sounds sappy, but when you have 407 subs and a handful of people that want to watch your streams, it means a lot to me. This is a little group for me. This is a little family of group, and I feel the power and I appreciate it. So I will see you all sometime next week. Watch for the notifications if you can. Stop in for a minute. Just say hi if you want. I'll try to figure out how I'm going to start off my second brain journey with you, and we'll go from there. So with that, I'll see you guys in the next live. Appreciate you. As soon as I can figure out how to merge out of here, we'll figure it out.
You take your side of the track, and I'll take mine. See which one of us can walk longer in a straight line and leave the world behind, or leave our silly worldly worries behind. Follow these old train tracks to us in another time.